Palestinians have been leaving a village in the occupied West Bank, blaming violence by Israeli settlers for forcing them from their homes. Ras Ain Al Auja is one of the last Bedouin-populated villages in the West Bank. Bedouins are a semi-nomadic people who have lived in the region for centuries. Ras Ain Al Auja is located north of Jericho and is at risk of being abandoned completely. Since October of 2023, the village and others in the West Bank have experienced a dramatic surge in settler violence. DW's Tanya Kramer reports.
The pen for sheep and goats is being dismantled. It is hard for Ishaq Moshid Rashid to watch. He's about to lose his livelihood and home.
They want to expel us from here. They beat us and loot. They steal the sheep. They loot from the people. Where should we go? We stay, no one protects us, no state protects us. What do we do? I've been living here for 65 years.
Israeli rights groups say that more than 120 Palestinians have been forced to flee this village due to attacks by Israeli settlers.
It's humiliation, pain. I mean, is there anything harder than demolishing your own home with your own hands?
Ras Ain Al Auja is one of the last Palestinian Bedouin communities in the southern Jordan Valley. It's in Area C, which is under Israel's full security and administrative control. Since the Hamas October 7 attack and the war in Gaza, violence by settlers from nearby outposts has surged. Throughout the occupied West Bank, over 40 communities have been driven from their homes. Here in the village, Israeli and international activists have kept what they call a protective presence. They're here day and night to shield the villagers from settler violence and displacement. They documented settlers setting up a small outpost inside the community and escalating their attacks against families nearby. The first families left soon after. It's a common pattern, the activists say.
Now there are dozens of settlers every minute roaming the village, harassing, stealing, beating, and intimidating, filming in the houses, riding horses in the backyards. The residents just can't sleep, can't rest. They need to be alert all the time, and many of them decided that they can't live that way and decided to leave.
The activists trail a young Israeli shepherd from a nearby outpost, moving his herd through the village. There's no police or army in sight to stop them. We asked the Israeli army what they were doing in response to the attacks. They said that they had increased their presence and that if they encounter law breaking, they intervene. For Jamila Rashid, life here has become unbearable and too dangerous.
I'm telling you, they entered our kitchen yesterday while we were having lunch. All the kids got up, scared. Is there anything worse than that? I mean, our life has become a slow death. A home provides shelter and safety, but now there's none. That's the problem. What are we supposed to do?
Some displaced families have moved further south, but few know where they will be able to stay permanently and rebuild their lives.
Yael Sela joins me now. She is one of the Israeli activists who volunteer in the West Bank as a protective presence. She actually went along with our DW team filming the report you just watched. Yael, welcome. Now, settler violence in the West Bank is sadly not a new phenomenon, but it is on the rise. In 2025, the Israeli army documented an increase by 25%. Why is that?
Good evening, and thank you for having me. I cannot tell you why that is. I can tell you how this is happening. And the fact that we're only talking about 2025 is maybe a little bit misleading because the situation has deteriorated already after October 7th, 2023. Since then, really all restraints have been removed completely. by the Israeli government and all its different arms and forces, primarily the military. But it is a government-induced, government-supported, and government-financed phenomenon that we call settler violence. It is no coincidence that this has been happening parallel to the genocide in Gaza.
Let me get some clarification here, Yael. Sorry to jump in there, because the Israeli government insists it doesn't encourage this violence. President Herzog has called the settler attacks shocking and a serious breach of conduct and urged them to stop publicly. What would you like to see them do to better protect Palestinians in the West Bank? That is not happening right now.
That is not happening right now because practically, and I can tell you what President Herzog, with all due respect to the president of my state, the state of Israel, he does not see on the ground, he does not come to see on the ground what is happening. In practice, the military, the police, the civil administration, the local settler authorities are all joining hands and joining forces with the financing, with the support, and with the blessing of the Israeli government to continue and allow this form of ultimately of ethnic cleansing that really, in truth, serves the policy, the declared policy of the current government, if not also of previous governments, with a trajectory of ultimate annexation of the occupied territories in the West Bank, East Jerusalem, and Gaza.
Yeah.
So,
The government, of course, denies that this amounts to ethnic cleansing. They also say that it's not a genocide. What is happening against Palestinians in Gaza? Just to clarify that here, the EU has imposed sanctions on several Israeli settlers. In your eyes, is that enough pressure from the outside?
Let me quote Francesca Albanese, who said already a few months ago that sanctions on settlers is the world of yesterday. The perpetrators now, as I said, the perpetrators are not only the settlers. It's a euphemism to call it settler violence. We're talking, or settler terrorism, or Jewish terrorism. We're talking about state-induced and state terrorism. So sanctions on settlers we've seen for the past 2.5 years, they've not had any effect. Settlers who are Israeli citizens are protected by their own state, by their own government. The real perpetrators that need to be sanctioned are unfortunately the ones leading the country.
That was Israeli activist Yael Sela. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much for having me.